Pig-like animals have a long history in Kaimere. Peccaries were one of the clades brought through the early Oligocene harvest, and rather quickly spread to multiple continents, where they are still found today as small and medium herbivores and omnivores. Entelodonts are not closely related to suids, being much closer to hippos, but they have a similar body plan, often being called hell pigs, and integrated into the ecology of the Tyrant dynasty, even going on to present a contender for apex predator amongst the dinosaurs in the aftermath of the dynastic extinction. Entelodonts have a long and successful history, especially on the eastern continent beyond the known world. Boar as we know them, however, are quite recent, being harvested from northern Europe less than 1 million years ago. Wild boar are defined by their adaptability. On Earth, this genus went from a fairly restricted tropical species in Southeast Asia to being found in abundance on 3 continents in the geological blink of an eye. The modern species outcompeted and possibly integrated older waves in a history mirroring our own. Their history is quite similar on Kaimere. Compared to the peccaries that for millions of years established a tenuous peace with the ankylosaurs of a similar niche as tillers of the earth, boar are quicker to grow, have much larger litters, and overall larger while needing less food and having a more generalist diet. Although adult males usually live alone, females and young live in groups of related animals, where they rely on each other for protection and raise the piglets of their sisters should a sow be killed. They can eat a whole range of meat, foliage, eggs, and berries, and live in almost every habitat as long as there is vegetation in which they can rest. This all resulted in a fairly swift domination of the known world. Like several other mammals, boar are particularly fond of dinosaur eggs. This has drawn the ire of many dinosaur species. Mammals have always been nest raiders in Kaimere, part of the reason that many dinosaurs keep dromaeosaurs around as pest control, with this bond between megaraptorans and small dromies in particular being arguably a basic form of domestication. Bigger animals have occasionally been opportunistic hunters of eggs, but not so much that it had a dramatic impact on the ecosystem. The past few million years, though, have brought several larger species, most notably boar and wolverines, that are larger than these nest guardians and fully capable of killing them to get the highly nutritious treasure that they protect. Several species of dinosaur became endangered or extinct because of this comparatively new phenomenon. These species who found success were those that invested more in nest defense. Another trend was heightened aggression by several dinosaurs towards mammals, particularly titanosaurs and parksosaurs. Many parksosaurs live in groups, with parents either trading, foraging, and guarding, or living in herds with a few individuals remaining behind, typically the oldest females. Titanosaurs are not nest guardians. They notoriously employ an extreme R selection strategy, with females laying several clutches in many locations to ensure as much potential for survival as possible. During the months between laying and hatching, male titanosaurs turn the aggression once directed at each other during competition for mates, and attack mammals in their habitat, particularly boar and carnivorans. Male titanosaurs have a high mortality rate in large part because of this prolonged testosterone surge, making them exhausted and vulnerable to predation. Boar tend to avoid titanosaurs for this reason. Their own mating season makes males highly aggressive, sometimes attacking the much larger predators, sometimes attacking much larger animals in testosterone-fueled rages. The tusks of males are outsized compared to those of earth boar, and sexual dimorphism is also exaggerated for predator defense or, perhaps more accurately, offense. They are still a favored prey of many animals, most notably large cats like leopards, lions, and tigers. Although they are far more numerous than the common peccary, they do help peccaries in some way, as almost invariably the predators that once specialized in peccary now favor boar, so peccaries are actually recovering after their initial hit from competition, since boar have taken off a lot of the predatory pressures. Most populations see males weighing between 200 and 300 pounds, with females about half that. A notorious exception to this trend are the temperate highlands of the western continent. Boar there can weigh half a ton, and are only regularly vulnerable to cave lions and the occasional cave bear that share their habitat, as Zhentar generally avoid the highlands. Pigs were domesticated by Kaimerans from boar independent of those on Earth. The Khalin of the southern islands were the first to domesticate them about 5,000 years ago, although they mostly traded these beasts with each other. Compared to Earth pigs, Khalin hogs have an easygoing temperament, extra meat on the shoulder, and need a lot less food, although they're smaller litters and tend to be a bit smaller themselves. Two other pigs have independently been domesticated shortly after, both from peccaries, meaning that although they share the same word in most languages, Telmead and Qajarith pigs are not pigs in the strictest sense, but for the sake of simplicity the term applies. In both cases, the peccaries were originally domesticated for meat, but their social bonds and high intelligence quickly led to other utilities such as tracking, house guarding, and companionship. War hogs were featured in most conflicts during the Dark Ages. Although widespread, these domesticated peccaries weren't the most economical of beasts. They needed a lot more food and are fairly picky. They need quite a bit of food and are fairly picky. They cannot breed with boar-descended pigs. The Free States say that this is because peccaries are inferior to the boar pigs, and though the Free States claim that this is because peccaries are inferior, and the boar pigs will not tarnish their superior bloodline, and many Qajarith will say the same of their noble peccaries. But the truth is that the two animals are simply too distantly related, despite superficial similarities. When Khalin hogs were introduced to pigs that the merchants of the Free States got from Earth during the Mercantile Age around 3,000 years ago, the resulting hybrids yielded a best of both worlds stock, with a flexible diet, lots of meat, and amiable temperament. Seafaring merchants of the Free States brought this swine as one of their main goods throughout much of the known world, sharing their prosperity and linking a once scattered known world in a trade language, economy, and relationship. Voyager hogs were among the livestock traded in every port, and they enhanced an already thriving Free States economy. They quickly replaced most of the domesticated peccaries. Unfortunately, this golden goose, or golden pig I should say, came with deadly consequence. The Barren Plague that brought an end to the Mercantile Age was blamed on humans. This presumption is infused in Kaimeran culture to the point that many of the words for humans and Earth are synonymous with pestilence. However, the Barren Plague was an influenza that originated from Earth pigs and spread to the Voyager hogs, then to enslaved humans kept with livestock on the merchant ships. From there it spread to their captors, then to every port that they made contact with. The merchants, quick to blame enslaved humans rather than take responsibility, ended regular contact with Earth. Sanitization standards dramatically improved, and enslaved humans of the Free States were either kept separate under the misconception that they were infecting livestock, which then spread to the people who ate the pigs. Most other nations refused human slaves, killing or isolating those in their territories shortly after arrival. In a few brutal years, the pandemic was under control, but its legacy continues to this day. Almost a quarter of Kaimerans had died in this time, and miscarriages were so frequent that almost no children were born for a subsequent decade. This solidified the reputation of humans as filthy plague carriers, and suspicions of humans persists, reinforced in part by such pandemics as the Black Death, smallpox, the Spanish flu, and the coronavirus, which continues to this day. Fears of contracting human diseases was an inciting motivation in creating the secret societies meant to keep Kaimere from common knowledge on Earth, which have in recent years consolidated into the Assembly. Other diseases have since come from pigs, often in more clear ways. Many Kaimerans view pigs as plague carriers and do not keep them, most notably the Peccary, who dissolved the Boar clan following a horrific swine flu epidemic. Pigs are generally safe to be around in Kaimere given the improved sanitization standards of both people and livestock, but many still regard them as unclean. Knowledge that the Barren Plague was a swine flu rather than a disease caused by humans is to this day denied by the Free States. Another notable cultural influence of pigs is that peccaries, along with lions, once held sacred status among the Qajarith. Nobility held them in high regard as ferocious warriors and protectors of the innocent and downtrodden. Skin changers of these two animals were ancestral to many noble houses today, holding great influence and power during the Age of Witches. Suspicion of magic after the Witch Wars ended resulted in many of these skin changers being slain, even though they had fought alongside the common people and witch hunters during the war. As the Republic consolidated, skin changers were seen as a pagan relic of the Dark Ages. Their reputation changed from stoic guardians of the people to unhinged monsters. Peccaries and lions were culled as much to remove this symbol of the old protectors as it was to make the land safe for farming, and now both species are rather rare in the Republic. The Qajarith pig is also uncommon. This shift was primarily for economic reasons. The Voyager pig is much easier to transport, cheap to feed and maintain, sociable, and twice the size. The fierce battle hogs and gentle household companions were largely traded for hounds. Many Republic commoners still keep Qajarith pigs, mostly to honor tradition and maintain the presence of this sacred animal, although it is seen as a despicable practice by the upper classes and city folk. Both wild and domesticated boar are arguably keystone species given how many predators depend on them for food. They have kept many dinosaur species in check, invaluable in regions where Kaimerans hope to establish permanent settlement. Although reviled by many, pigs have undeniably played a critical role in shaping modern Kaimere. Until next time, stay fantastic. Cheers, folks!